This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and we're getting yoga again. This time it's the Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga. Yes, there's a yoga for you ThinkPad people, and ThinkPad people are a distinct set. 12.5-inch, thin, light, the usual magnesium alloy roll cage, sturdy, business ready. Some nice upgrades here from the Lenovo IdeaPad Yoga 2 Pro as well, and we're going to look at it now. So this is the Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga. Different from the IdeaPad line of yogas, this has the usual ThinkPad build quality and feature set that you've come to expect if you're a ThinkPad person. For those of you who don't know what those differences are, you get a much sturdier design. ThinkPads are famous. You see people on airplanes drop them and just laugh and say, "Ha, I do it all the time." Inner metal roll cage, metal casing on the outside. Very, very sturdy product. 12.5-inch display, IPS Full HD, 1920 by 1080. That is standard for the ThinkPad Yoga. You can get it with a Wacom digitizer and Wacom pen, or you can get it without. Available both ways. And if you do get it with the pen slides into the casing right over here where we have a little blank. This model does not have the Wacom digitizer. We're hoping Lenovo can get us a copy that does have Wacom digitizer as well, so we can cover that particular feature. But Wacom pens are generally favored by artists because you get support in Adobe Photoshop for pen pressure sensitivity, and beyond that, obviously it works very well for note-taking too. Intel Haswell 4th generation Core CPUs inside. As you can see, it's a pretty thin design, 0.74 inches, which is 19 millimeters. Lenovo says it weighs 3.5 pounds. Our scale says 3 pounds 7 ounces, which puts it just under that. Compare that to 3 pounds and 1 ounce for the Lenovo IdeaPad Yoga 2 Pro, so a little bit heavier. If we look at ports, that's one of the things you're going to get with a ThinkPad, generally speaking, is a better selection of ports than you will on an IdeaPad. Here we have a USB 3.0 port. Combo audio jack right there. This is the rectangular connector for the power adapter plus Lenovo's OneLink port. And that gets to another point. For business users and those folks who need to use a dock, that's something that you get with a ThinkPad. You don't have that option with the IdeaPad. Of course, there's third-party docks. There's the lovely Belkin USB 3.0 dock. So you're not totally without help if you get an IdeaPad, for example, it doesn't support it. But Lenovo's $119 OneLink is a pretty nice product. And this plugs into the power port when you take out the rubber block like we did to expose the OneLink port, and then you plug the power adapter actually into the OneLink so you can power up through that. So on the front you get two USB 3.0 ports, a combo audio jack. Pretty compact and light, by the way. So where you plug the power adapter in, full-size HDMI, Ethernet right here, two more USB ports. Power button up top looks just like the little ThinkPad button on ThinkPad laptops. So for those of you who need a docking solution and you prefer to get one from first party, that is the manufacturer, that's something you can do with your ThinkPad. Back to the laptop. Very sturdy metal hinges here. And on this side we have our power button, in case you're using it in tablet mode, so that's why it's accessible on the side. Volume keys here, in addition to the ones on the FN row up top. Rotation lock. Your 4-in-1 card reader right here. Another USB 3.0 port. You only get one USB 3.0 port on our Lenovo Yoga 2 Pro. Mini HDMI. I almost wish they went with micro, because everybody's gotten a micro HDMI cable to use with their smartphone probably by now, but this is mini, not micro, nor is it full size, obviously. Lock slot over here. Bottom panel affixed with a bunch of Phillips head screws here. None of them are hidden. They're all visible. If you take the bottom off, you have access to the battery should you need to replace it when it wears out. Obviously, this is not a swappable kind of battery design here. It doesn't have the bridge battery design that Lenovo ThinkPad X240 has and the T440S that we're going to review as well. But anyway, battery is sealed inside, 4-cell battery. Inside you have a 2.5-inch standard SATA hard drive. It's actually an SSD drive though, so you don't have to go running around looking for an obscure kind of SSD drive. It's one of those very easy to find aftermarket 2.5-inch drives that would fit in other laptops, 7mm height. Also, RAM is soldered on board in here. The wireless card is socketed and it is PCI Express Mini. It is not the new M2 form factor that Lenovo is using on other machines that they currently make. Kind of confusing that, but that is what it is. So this is a Yoga. What does that mean? Yoga opens up, standard laptop mode right there. You can use it flat, for those of you who find that appealing and useful. You can use it in tent mode and with any angle that you want, unlike the Lenovo IdeaPad Flex that really wasn't meant for tent mode because it stayed open very wide. This one you can get quite narrow with it if you want. Like so. Kind of a little bit weird, but there it is. There's our mode like that. And you can obviously use it in presentation mode like so. Screen rotates around and it knows. Now that leaves the keyboard exposed, doesn't it? Just like with the Lenovo Yoga 13 and the Yoga 2 Pro. Well, if you notice something happened over here, the keyboard surround over here this is what they call their lift and lock keyboard. This raises up to be almost flush with your keys right here, and the keys are locked whenever you swivel this out of laptop position. So yes, you still feel the keyboard against your lap and against your fingers if you're using this on your lap, but you don't feel the squiggly keys moving around, and you get the sense that they're probably going to last a little bit longer with taking that kind of punishment. The trackpad still does move. That doesn't get locked down, however. So interesting thing, and you can actually see it happen. It's kind of subtle, but right now we have it locked and loaded, so to speak. And we're going to swivel our display up, and you'll see that, there it is. That keyboard surround is dropping down. Now you can see the key relief. Pretty cool. Speaking of key relief, as ever, excellent Lenovo ThinkPad keyboard here. Their AccuType keyboard is awesome. Best in the business. Now, because these machines keep getting thinner and thinner, we do lose some key travel. But it's still quite a lot for an Ultrabook. As you can see how much movement there is here. It's still very tactile, nice, damped keys. Fantastic feel. We got those smile-shaped signature Lenovo keys, shall we say. And this is their newer style keyboard. And right here, something Lenovo does that we really like, you can do an FN lock using those keys right here. So you can have this row either by default do the multimedia functions that are masked on here, or you can switch it so it does the FN keys by default. Nice to have that choice. Embedded arrow key over here, keys over here, page up, page down, oversized enter and shift keys. Great keyboard. Trackpad, also great. Gone are the separate clickable buttons. Now we have that kind of unified trackpad that's pretty popular. Also awesome. You know, just about nobody can really approach the goodness of a MacBook Air or MacBook Pro trackpad. This is just wonderful to use. Single touch, multi-touch, nice amount of drag over here, very responsive. Weird things never happen. It's just a pleasure to use. So you've got your right click and left click embedded down here. You can even change those zones if you want and enlarge them. And up here, they do the same thing. This is the middle click with the little stipples, because you might want to use the eraser stick pointer. Again, for ThinkPad people who love this track point type pointer, well, it's still there for you, and these function as your buttons. This is a backlit keyboard, by the way, and as ever, you can use the FN key plus the space bar to control the backlight level. You got 2 levels of backlight plus off. So this ships with Windows 8.1, not 8, so you don't have to do that upgrade yourself. 64-bit, full Windows PC right here. Again, all the Metro goodness, but of course probably most of you, ThinkPad business user types that you are going to be using desktop mode most often, and there you have it. Again, 1920 by 1280 IPS display, 400 nits of brightness, Lenovo claims. And you know, often manufacturers make a claim about display brightness and it never measures up quite so much, but our Spider 4 Pro calibrator said it actually came in at 410 nits. This is retina burning bright. It is wildly bright. And that's good because it's quite a glossy display, so you need to combat reflections. Viewing angles are wide. Color saturation is quite good on this. It's not as good as the ThinkPad T440S, however, which has a really high color gamut display, or the Samsung T-Book 9 Plus, or the Sony Vaio Pro 13. Those have even higher color gamut, as does the Lenovo Yoga 2 Pro. So here you can see we have 52% of Adobe RGB, and we have 69% of sRGB. So it's pretty decent. It's a pleasant display to look at, but for those of you who are graphics professionals, you might find that that's not as ideal, again, as those other models that I mentioned that really have super high color gamut. In terms of configurations, this machine is available with the usual 4th generation Intel Haswell ULV, or now called ULT CPUs. You can get the Core i5-4200U clocked at 1.6 gigahertz. That's a dual-core CPU. Or you can get the Core i7-4500U, much as you would on many other competing Ultrabooks. You can get it with 4 or 8 gigs of DDR3 low-power RAM, and that is soldered on board. You can't upgrade it yourself. As I mentioned, this has a standard 2.5-inch SATA 3 interface for the SSD drive. You can get it with 128 or a 256 gig SSD. I wouldn't be surprised if a 512 option shows up in the future. Now, as you can see the SSD drive speeds right here, and they're quite good, par for the course. It's not using the new PCIe interface, which would get you some even faster numbers, but very good. But while we're talking about that stuff, let's mention that there's quite a few configurations that are available for our friend the Yoga. Now, if you get it from Lenovo's website, right now in the US, the only option is to get it with the full HD plus the active Wacom digitizer with digital pen. That's going to run you more money. Will the one without the active digitizer show up? Probably it will on Lenovo's website sooner or later. The one that's in retail stores right now, Newegg, Amazon, Fry's Electronics, those models don't have the active digitizer. So if you do need the digital pen, keep that in mind, and really it can be very hard to figure out just from the description. Just to make it a little easier for you, if you're looking at model number 20CD0032US or 33US, those are the models that do not have a Wacom active digitizer. So keep that in mind when you're shopping if you do need the pen, or if you don't need the pen, you'll be happy. So the configurations that are available in stores, now keep in mind this is a ThinkPad. IdeaPads are all over at retail stores because IdeaPads are the consumer line. ThinkPad is still more the business line, so not as many stores stock ThinkPads. You'll find them in Fry's and in Micro Center, CompUSA, those kind of places. But anyway, for the ones that are available online at Amazon and via Fry's, that kind of thing, $1,199 gets you the Core i5 with 4 gigs of RAM and 128 gig SSD. If you go up to $1,399, you'll get the Core i7 with 8 gigs of RAM and a 256 gig SSD. So those prices are par for the course for a higher-end Ultrabook, certainly. And ThinkPads are often a little bit more expensive. That's actually not that much of a price premium for a ThinkPad. So in terms of synthetic benchmarks, we have the Core i7 model here with 8 gigs of RAM and a 256 gig SSD. And we got a score of 5259 on PC Mark 7, which is one of the highest scores we've seen yet from an Ultrabook running Haswell in PC Mark 7, so very good there. In 3D Mark 11, it got a P872, that's performance middle mode setting for testing. That indicates dual channel RAM for sure, and that's a very good number for Intel HD 4400 graphics, which is your only graphics option on this machine. It's really a bit too thin to cram in a dedicated GPU or even Iris graphics. On Geekbench 3, it scored 5895 in the multi-core 64-bit test. W Prime, it computed pi in 19.83 seconds, which is also one of the fastest times we've seen. Now, the Core i7 is still a dual-core CPU. The architecture is pretty much the same as the Core i5. It's just clocked a little higher, and it doesn't always make that much of a difference in benchmarks. So overall, I would have to say this is just a fast, well-tuned machine. And part of that speed has to do, again, with the advantage of getting a ThinkPad. It doesn't have much bloatware. It's meant for business users more than consumers, so they're not going to throw a whole lot of junk on there that's going to slow the machine down. Now, that said, Lenovo is usually pretty well restrained when it comes to bloat. And then they put a few extra apps on here. They put the Kindle Metro app on here, Evernote Touch, which I think a lot of people actually do use and like. Zinio is on here. You can uninstall any of these you want. A lot of these are very lightweight Metro apps anyway, and in terms of desktop software, not too much heavy stuff at all. 30-day antivirus trial, you get the idea. And all of Lenovo's ThinkVantage tools, which are some of the best in the industry for handling updates and maintaining your PC, doing troubleshooting, all that sort of thing without trying to upsell you on premium services like Sony does. When you're using this in tablet mode like we have it right now, this is the Windows key here. This is a physical clicky key. That's a good thing so that your finger doesn't brush it and accidentally activate it. You actually have to press it and click it. Now, a 12.5-inch tablet is a little easier to handle than a 13.3-inch tablet, but it's still big. It's still over 3 pounds, so I don't think anybody's going to use this as an iPad replacement. This is really going to appeal probably to folks who need to give presentations, and you just drop it into that presentation mode like so. Very easy to do that. And also for those of you who want the active digitizer for note-taking, vertical market applications where you need to use the pen, and also for artist types. And for those of you who are considering both of these, we have the Lenovo Yoga 2 Pro over here on this side, and here's our ThinkPad Yoga. So you can see a slight difference in footprint size, obviously, because 12.5-inch versus 13.3 inches. The other difference, big difference, is going to be the resolution of the display. Full HD 1920 by 1080. This is crazy, 3200 by 1800. Now, I think for most people, 1920 by 1080 is going to be plenty enough and very sharp, and things are going to look small enough on the desktop without enabling scaling. But still, for those of you who really, really love the thought of a 3200 by 1800 display, that Yoga 2 Pro has its appeal. In terms of thickness, they're really pretty close. Yoga does a taper, so at the front it's going to be thinner. When you get to the back edge, it's still a little bit thinner, but not by as much. And we'll have a smackdown between these two so we can really go in depth with that. And for those of you who say, well, I know I want a ThinkPad, I don't know if I actually need the Yoga ink feature or not, and the digital pen. Here we have the new Lenovo ThinkPad X240, legendary X series machine here. You can see it's a bit thicker than the ThinkPad Yoga is. Both are 12.5 inch machines, same design aesthetic, a little bit more rounding of the corners on our Yoga friend. Same one link here. This has the bridge battery, so some nifty things. One drawback, though, is it has an IPS display, but it's 1366 by 768 resolution, and there is no full HD option on the X240, so yeah. The ThinkPad Yoga also has a brighter display, in addition to the fact that it is higher resolution, so really stunning display here. Not bad display here on the X240. Now, of course, this is a full PC, so this can do anything you expect from a Windows PC. We're using IE here. You can put Chrome on this. You can edit HD video. You can use Adobe Photoshop on this. You can use software development tools. And we're just going to take a look at a video so you can get an idea of how the speakers sound. Dolby enhanced. Not too bad. Fire from the keyboard deck area. We're at 60%.
Little brother, well, not little in size, but a little bit littler in price. This is the Lenovo IdeaPad Flex, and it too has a sort of yoga hit.
So these speakers, they're not exactly rich and full, are they? It's loud enough, you can certainly hear it, but not a great multimedia experience. By the way, if you notice the screen flickering, there's nothing wrong with the machine, and the naked eye can't see that. It's just the scan of 60 frame refresh rate on a video camera can catch the on-off of the backlighting, and that's how LED backlit displays work. They actually turn the backlighting on and off extremely rapidly to control brightness levels. So how about battery life? Lenovo says that this battery is good for up to 8 hours of use time. That's, a bit optimistic. Most manufacturers are a bit optimistic, and I find using this at 50% brightness, and given how bright it is, that's plenty adequate. With auto brightness turned on, because auto brightness actually works pretty well on this, and Wi-Fi on and active, I've been getting around 6.5 hours of use time. Now, you can't swap a spare battery in because this doesn't have a removable battery, so if you need more juice on the road, for actual use time that is, I'm talking 6.5 hours, just keep that in mind. In terms of other amenities, this comes with Bluetooth 4.0, and with Wi-Fi you get Intel Wi-Fi 7260N, and your choice of either 2x2 single band N, or you can get it with dual band Wi-Fi AC, also an Intel 7260 adapter. I'm even surprised that they actually offer a single band option on this, and that's what we have here. The one that you get in retail stores with those part numbers that I mentioned, that does not have an active digitizer. It has the base level Wi-Fi, single band 802.11 BGN. But that said, my God, the Wi-Fi is bulletproof on this thing. Granted, 2.4 gigahertz travels farther, but even when using a Bluetooth mouse, I didn't have any hiccups, and much stronger signal than you'll get from most laptops on the market today. It's nice because as laptops go for better and better power consumption numbers, the Wi-Fi range and throughput can be reduced, and here Lenovo has really kept it rock solid. Now, sometimes we like to have fun, right? So here's Civ 5 we're running as a test, and you can see our display settings right here. We're going to go for full HD right here. Most details at medium, a few at low as well. Should be a good looking game, and the neat thing about Civ is it works with the touchscreen.
We greet thee, O great Ramses, Pharaoh of Egypt, who causes the sun to rise and the Nile to flow, and who blesses his fortunate people with all the good things of life. O great Lord, from time immemorial.
And here we found that our city, set up some research. Looks fine. You can pinch zoom. speed is good on it, so very playable. So certainly for casual gaming, this is great, and even some light 3D gaming. Now, Battlefield 4, you're going to have to use really low settings if you want to play something like that on it. But these mid-level games in terms of requirements, they'll run fine. Okay, so ThinkPads have a reputation for being durable devices, but still, you kind of worry, not just about the Yoga hinge. The Yogas have been around for a while, and they're doing okay, but this lift and lock keyboard here, how well is it going to hold up? Well, Lenovo says it's good for at least 100,000 rotation operations and lock operations, so that should be good for about as long as anybody would use the laptop. And knowing Lenovo, it's probably going to be good for longer than that, so I really wouldn't worry too much about it. It is pretty darn strong and durable stuff. By the way, because again, it's a ThinkPad, we have a keyboard that can take up to 500 milliliters. That's 2 cups of liquid spilled on it, and it has drain holes on the bottom. So if you haven't seen somebody do this before at a coffee shop where they accidentally spill something and they start shaking it out, it comes pouring out the bottom holes, well, yes, you can do that too. Now, that doesn't mean you can toss it in your swimming pool, but if you do have a little accident at the coffee shop, it's heartening to know that it might actually survive unscathed. So that's the Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga. It's just starting to become available right now. You might have trouble finding it in stores. As I said, it is available on Lenovo's website, and honestly, it's a great product for the money. Definitely one of Lenovo's better ThinkPads. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to visit our website for the full review, and don't forget to hit that like button.